lovely, beautiful morning. Today, I think it is like 70 degrees outside. I have not washed my hair in a couple days, and I have always promised to keep things real with you. And so I was thinking I need to shoot this video talking a little bit, there's a fly on me, about my mental health journey over the last year. And it's like, oh, I need to shower, I need to get ready. And I was thinking, no, not going to. I am gonna come at y'all looking like this because this is the reality of it. If I can squeeze in a shower once, maybe twice a week to wash my hair, it's a good week. So, you know, washing your body's one thing, but when you gotta wash your hair, that's a whole nother story when you got all the kids running around. So I'm coming to you like this. I said I was gonna keep it real and honest and raw, and here is real, honest, and raw. This is me enjoying a 70-degree day. Silas is watching a video outside with me. We're just having a great time. But, you know, one of the things that I mentioned when I first started this page that I was going to talk about was mental health. I know not just for me, but a lot of people deal with it in some degree, whether they personally have it, whether it's just a little bit of anxiety here or there, maybe it's panic or anxiety attacks, depression, or if they don't deal with it, they know someone who has or who does, and they struggle to relate to them. And so I just wanted to take some time and share what I've gone through the last year, just kind of some, you know, bullet point version of it. It obviously goes much more in depth, and it was a lot of, I mean, it was, you know, it's been almost 365 days of it on and off. And so last July was actually when it started. You know, I will say before that, I have struggled with anxiety, you know, like stuff would freak me out. One thing that we were able to kind of get to the bottom of was that I have control issues, which I'm sure I'm not the only one. But if I am not in control, or if I don't know how a situation is going to pan out, I struggle with that. That can lead to some of my anxiety. So we did get to that. But, you know, prior to my first ever real panic attack or anxiety attack, whatever you want to call it, I had not really struggled with it in large quantities, if that makes sense. Like, be like, oh, I'm a little anxious about this, or, oh, you know, what's going to happen, or, you know, you don't want bad news from the doctor or whatever. And I think, so it was there, like it was going on prior to last July. But last July, Tony had left for youth camp with our students. And I had our 3 biological kiddos and our 2 foster kiddos. And you know, at that point they were 4, 3, 3, 2, and 1. And so it was a lot. They were gone for 5 or 6 days. And we had an event at the church. I went to the event and was feeling okay, had fun, got the kids, you know, some school supplies and all of that. And then I came home, and when I got out of the car, as I was walking inside, all of a sudden my heart just was, it was like it was pounding out of my chest. I was dizzy. I was shaking. I was like, my arm literally went numb. I mean, I was honestly worried I might be having a heart attack. And as it all was happening, I called my mom. I was like, here's what's going on. She's like, it sounds like an anxiety attack. You know, just try to take deep breaths. It's like I felt like I couldn't breathe. I was nauseous. Oh, it was horrible. So I spent the rest of the day trying to kind of get over it. And as I was trying to work through it, I'm going to try to be really loud because the trash truck is coming. And I will pause if it gets too loud. But I tried to work through it. I tried to distract, you know, my mind by going to the nursing home to visit my grandma, and did all that. Well, when I got home, I was like, okay, I think I'm okay. I just need to probably go in, get the kids laid down, and go to bed. Well, as I was getting out of the car, I felt like the whole, like everything was spinning. Like I literally was sitting on my front lawn because I didn't want to pass out and nobody be able to find me because I was alone with my kids at home. All right, I'm going to pause for a second. Sorry. Hey, I promise to keep it real. This is the only time I can shoot a video, is sitting outside in the mornings. Otherwise the kids are everywhere. So we have this. Silas, do you like trash trucks? we also go through an insane amount of trash in a week. I guess that's what you get when you have 10 people living in your house. I always feel bad for them. Like, and I try to cut down on stuff. This doesn't work out well. All right, almost done. Okay, hopefully you can hear me again. But anyway, so I was sitting in my front lawn waiting for my mom. I was like, I think I need to go to the emergency room. Like, I'm just not okay. Went down to the emergency room. Of course, they told me it's an anxiety attack. And then I kind of felt silly. Like, why did I come down here? And so they gave me some medicine. I can't remember the name of it right now, but it was like an anti-anxiety medicine. And at this point, I was also having like some sinus issues, like a sinus infection or whatever. And so they gave me some medicine for that. So I went home, and the next day I felt okay. Like, I took that medicine, and they told me to like take this as needed, and then if you need more, just kind of follow up with your doctor. It's like, okay, great. And so it did help calm me down. I came home and got some sleep. My mother-in-law actually stayed that night to help with the kids, which worked out well because one of them ended up getting sick. And so the next day I got up and I went to church, and I was okay. Like, everything seemed okay. Still had some anxiety. Tony gets home, a couple weeks go by, and then my health was still kind of messing with me. I was still having this sinus infection, which is messing with my head, and you know, it was horrible. I had all this pressure, and I was getting headaches, and it was just bad. And so then there were a couple more times where I was starting to get that feeling of like, okay, like that anxiety feeling. And so they had told me, when you feel that, just take it. You can even like half it if you're not feeling too bad. So it's like, okay. Well, mind you, I've said all this stuff is going down with my my sinuses. And so they ended up putting me on the steroid, and the steroid and the anti-anxiety medicine ended up kind of, they gave me a weird reaction. And so the best way to describe it is like, it wasn't like a hallucination, but it was like I was almost outside of my body. It was really weird. And I didn't like how it made me feel. I felt like I was going crazy. I felt like I was going to lose control. And so I literally took the medicine, I flushed it. I said, it doesn't matter how much anxiety, panic, any I ever have, I'm not taking this medicine again. So I flushed it. And finally, eventually, it's probably not how I'm supposed to say that, I did get over the sinus infection. It took me almost 3 months to overcome the sinus infection. It was so weird. And so I went a couple months without it. It's like I seemed to get the hang of it. You know, I was praying through it. I was working through it. I had, consulted my pastor about it, and I'd started seeing a counselor. And when I started seeing a counselor, she was great. I mean, I could talk to her, but the one thing I didn't like, and the reason I stopped seeing her, was I felt like the best way to explain this, she was just a cheerleader. And I'm cool with somebody like coming alongside and saying, you can do this, like you can overcome this. But what I wanted was, I wanted practical tips of like, how do I actually overcome this? How do I work through this and come out on the other side? And so I only saw her a couple times. And this whole time I was still dealing with some like low-key anxiety. Like, it wasn't any like full-blown panic attacks, nothing like that, but just anxiety. And so some time goes by, and then I ended up having another one. And when I had it this time, I went back, to my pastor and talked to him again. And he was like, be careful you're not taking on too much. And that was so hard for me, because I was like, I feel like everything I've taken on is a God thing. Like, literally, a lot of the things I was doing were bred out of prayer. And I'm like, okay, but if this is what I'm supposed to be doing, then why can I not handle this? Like, I just kind of came to the conclusion that maybe I wasn't strong enough to do it. And he gave me a verse that was super helpful. And, it's 2 Timothy 1:7, I believe. It says, for God has not given us a spirit of fear. It's that verse a lot of you guys know. And people will shoot it back at you. And a lot of people say, for God has not given you a spirit of fear, but of peace, love, and a sound mind. You hear that, and okay, it's great. When he gave me a different translation, you can have Pop-Tart, that's fine. When he gave me a different translation, it stuck with me, and it resonated so deeply. Sorry. There you go, bud. It was, for God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of peace, love, and a disciplined mind. Mind you, as I was going through all this, my biggest fear, the thing that kept like coming up in my mind, was that I was going to lose control, that I was going to lose control, that I might hurt myself or I might hurt somebody else. It wasn't like I was thinking on, but it was like there was this thought like, you're going to lose control. You're going to lose control and you're going to have no control over your body. You're just going to do whatever crazy stuff. And then you hear stories of, people actually, having mental illness and struggling with this. And the stories just, they're horrible and they're gut-wrenching. And that's what I struggled with. And so whenever I heard that verse, that for God does not give a spirit of fear, but peace, love, and a disciplined mind, I would say that over and over, because here's the thing, if it's discipline, I tell it what to do. I have control over it. I don't have to give in to every thought, feeling, or emotion I have, because I have control over it. If I don't want my brain to go there, it doesn't have to. And then, I was listening to Dr. Caroline Leaf, I think is her name, and she is a Christian who studies the brain, and she said, you don't want to deny where you're at, essentially, but you want to speak to where you want to go. A lot of times in church, what people will say is, oh, well, you just pray that away. You just pray it away. You don't have to have anxiety. You don't have to have it. You just pray it away, And that was always tough for me, because I'm like, but I do. Like, I am struggling with this right now, and if you're telling this, I feel like less of a Christian, because if I can just pray this away, then how come I'm praying it's not going away? And what she said is, yes, you pray and you believe and you hold on to God's promises, but you have to admit the reality of where you're at. And my counselor, who I actually am talking to now, she said, there are things that are real, but that doesn't mean they're true. And then I've heard it, with other people who, work in this field. You identify it as real, but that doesn't mean it's truth. When I have a panic attack, whenever I had those panic attacks just a couple weeks ago, the feelings I had were real. What was happening to me was real, but that does not mean that it was truth. A lot of the things that I was worried about, they were going through my head, and even the fact that I couldn't figure out what was wrong, it was not truth. And so that helped me a ton. And whenever I was, again, talking to our pastor about it, he said, even God spoke to the darkness and created light. He wasn't just like, let there be light. The Bible says he spoke to the darkness. He saw the reality of darkness and he spoke light to it. So when I'm dealing with these things, one thing I got to the point now where I literally talk out loud. Okay, Stacia, you feel this way. You are having a heart palpitation because of stress. You're feeling this overwhelming sense of doom. You are feeling this. But here is the truth. And I will repeat truth back to me, whether that's that I'm okay or that the situation I'm fearing is, the chances of it happening are very low, that my mind is taking it to the nth degree and making it go, crazy or whatever. Even as we're preparing to go to youth camp, and the week after that, we've got another small couple day vacation. And like, there was a part of me that was like, I actually now fear having a panic attack. And I'm like, I fear fear. Like, I fear it. And it's not so much that I fear fear, it's that I fear what it does to my body and how I feel that day and in the days to come, and just the defeat that I feel. I fear that. I don't want that. And so I've gotten to the point now where it's like, okay, Stacia, there is a chance you may have a panic attack. It might happen. But you're safe. You've had every test in the world done as far as your health, like your heart's fine, your blood counts are fine, reminding myself that I'm not dying. That's another thing for me that my body likes to try to tell me, is that I'm dying, that I'm like horribly sick. Reminding myself that even if something is wrong with me, almost the majority of things in life are treatable. And then just holding on to God's promises that I am healed, that I can live a life where I'm not fearing, that not that fear won't show up, but that I don't have to dwell on it, that I don't have to live in it. Reminding myself of those truths. But a couple things that my counselor now said is, you put your thoughts on trial. You ask yourself, like, is what I am worrying about true? Is it a real feeling, or is it a truth? Is it a truth? And then you ask yourself, if my best friend were to hear this thought, what would they say? What would my best friend think about this? Kind of like an outside perspective. And then things like, will what I'm fearing about matter, what I'm fearing matter in a day, a week, a month, a year? and putting that thought on trial to kind of bring yourself back to reality in the fact that you don't have to struggle with that. There are things that if we dwell in panic and fear and on the edge of our seat and struggling with issues for a long period of time, our brains actually rewire themselves, which, wow, God is really cool that he made us so intricate, but it can work against us in the sense of if you live in fear and, everything, I had a miscarriage, and then my pregnancy with Grayson was very traumatic, and then she got here and it was one step forward and 10 steps back, like every bit of the first year, if not more, of her life. And I got to the place where I always expected the other shoe to drop. It was to the point where I didn't get excited about the good because I figured something was going to come along and take it away. And after doing that for a couple of years, my body rewired itself to where if I am having a good time, if I am having fun, if I am enjoying something, my natural instinct is to say, this is great, but something's going to come and happen. Something's going to take it away. And I've been balancing that with, okay, like I want to be ready for things to come up. There are 8 kids here. If we go out as a family, there is something bound to happen. But not looking at it in the sense of, oh, we might as well not even go out as a family. I don't know why we're going to have fun because something's going to happen. Changing that perspective to, you know what? We can have a really great time in spite of a meltdown, a blowout, diaper, like changing just how I'm speaking on things and how I'm seeing things. This whole year has been, there's still been some anxiety. There's still been some processing. The panic, I haven't had those full-blown panic attacks much, just a couple times, but when they did, it's like they drag on forever. It's like I can't get over it. It's like once it hits, I spend the next few weeks recovering. And so I have actively, as of, since this last one, I just said, I'm not doing this anymore. I am going to dig deep, find out what is causing these, find out what is happening in my mind and what has happened in my life that are triggers. One trigger for me, like I know I was sharing with a friend yesterday, is when I go to Cardinal Glennon, their hand soap. The smell of their hand soap literally gives me low-key anxiety. Like, it's something so small, but when you spent, 2 weeks there at the beginning of her life, we had 3 other hospital admissions just in the first 2 months of her life. And then all your appointments are down there because she has to see the specialists. And I went to the bathroom a lot down there. And the fact that the dish, or like the hand soap, could mess with me so much. But I've just decided after this last one, I'm going to conquer this. I can't do it on my own. I need a counselor, and I need my family, and I need my friends, and I need community, and I need God. I need to stop trying to control so many things, and I need to stop, putting everything on me and carrying that burden, because I have had some stuff happen. Like, it doesn't take away from the reality of what's happened that's gotten me here, but I don't have to stay here. And I want to encourage you that you don't have to stay there. If this is something you're dealing with, you can overcome this, whether that's with getting the right medicine dosage, seeing a counselor, getting that support system. You can do it. You can overcome it. But I think the first step is admitting that there's an issue. And it took me a long time to talk about it. And I remember when I finally started talking to Tony about it on a more consistent basis, there was healing that happened just by getting it out, just by talking. And so I hope that this video, if nothing else, you can relate to it. Maybe you say I don't have anxiety, but I try to do stuff, and trash truck and kids, interrupted. I can connect there. That's my whole goal with this platform. I want to connect with people. I want to talk to people. I want to get conversation going. I want to allow people to say, okay, maybe there's a problem here. Maybe I need to work on this. Maybe this is something that is in my life and I need to overcome it. And so I just, like I said, I want to encourage you guys. I want to say right now, my counselor is on my phone. Like, I don't even have to get a babysitter and go in to see a counselor. You can, it's called BetterHelp. It's an app where you go through, and it's dirt cheap compared to, it's maybe too much information, but like I pay $150 a month for unlimited messaging with her. Now, she has a second job, so like it's not always right away, but if I was really having something going on, you can click this little button that says urgent, and they will have some form of counselor get in touch with you immediately, even if your counselor isn't available. And it has been so good to just sit here with my kids at night, and I can be messaging her, letting know how my day went and how I'm, working through it. And she's given me so many practical tips, which, praise the Lord, I've been able to take and begin to use, and watched videos and read articles, and I'm excited for the future. And I haven't been in a while. I have just made the decision that I have one life to live, and my kids need me healthy, and the people in your life need you healthy. And so if you have any questions about anything I said today, or anything maybe you want to talk more about, maybe it's not a question, but you're like, I just need somebody to talk to, feel free to message me. I am always down to talk about this kind of stuff, whether you need answers or you just want to vent and get some things off your chest, and find people in your life who you can talk to. Don't be scared to talk about it, because more people are dealing with it than you think. So I want to thank you guys for watching this video. We really appreciate your guys' support. It has been huge. Even just going through and talking about this video, there's something, it makes me happy on the inside. This has been such a blessing for me, and I hope it'll bless you guys as you watch it. But make sure, if you haven't already, you can subscribe to our channel. We're planning to put out more videos and more posts over on our Facebook page, and maybe even dabbling in Instagram. We're not exactly sure yet. We're just kind of figuring it out. But we're having a lot of fun doing it. So I hope you guys have a fantastic day, and I look forward to hearing from you guys. And let's work on this together. We can do it. Love y'all.